For today's video, we're going to start by working on value scales using colored pencils. This is the color scheme worksheet that you're going to be working on this week. We are eventually going to be doing a drawing and practicing rendering values with the colored pencils using different techniques, and most importantly using different combinations of colors. So for this activity, what you're going to start doing is just for now, for today, I want you to just work on value scales and not worry about these other drawings. Your goal is to be able to get smooth gradients that blend from very light tints of a color through very saturated, bright versions of the pure color, and then getting into a shade, which is adding a dark. Now, dark is not always adding black. In a monochromatic color scheme, it is. You add white to make a tint, you add black to make a shade. In other color schemes, like a complement, instead of adding black to get the dark, you actually add the complement. So in this case, you have violet, which adding white gets it brighter, but adding yellow actually makes that violet darker. It's adding the opposite color on the color wheel. In this example, it is using green. So this red gradient goes from light red to dark red, adding green to make it darker. Now it looks like it was black, but it wasn't. Adding a complement actually desaturates and darkens a color. In these two analogous examples, you have blue and yellow, and you're using yellow and green, making greens to sort of blend this kind of green, which has a tint of blue to it, going from light green to dark green. Over here, it's using violet, adding violet to the red to make it darker. So to start off today, really quickly, is just to transfer this grid to your paper. So I'm using my drawing pad. I want you to use the drawing pad rather than printing out this blank template. Because the drawing pad, the paper on the drawing pad is going to have more tooth to it. So if you have the ability to print out this paper, you could try to lay it underneath and use this to trace it. Otherwise, you'll just draw things drawing the squares. Now, if you don't have a ruler, you can actually use the box of your colored pencils to act as a ruler, drawing these lines to make the boxes. So that's the first step. I'm going to pause the video and pick up after I have transferred all of this. So now that the grid is done and drawn on your paper, we're going to start with the monochromatic color scheme. And just, again, doing for today, just the value scales. I'm going to pick a different color. I'm going to try blue. I'll try a primary color for this. And for this one, I'm going to be switching in between the sky blue and the regular blue. We're going to start off with the regular blue to see how intense and vibrant this blue becomes. We might have to mix in a little bit of the sky blue, but I'm going to start by slowly shading this area. You'll notice I'm going in a horizontal fashion, and I'm putting down a very light bit of color. You can always go darker. What the activity really is about is going to be about pressure. It's going to be about blending. You're going to get a lot of practice with these activities. So if I need to switch my direction, I'll switch my direction. You'll notice I start off very, very light, moving my way up towards the highlight. Now at some point, I'm going to taper off with blue, and I'm going to switch to white. you'll notice that as soon as I start putting down the white, it actually intensifies the blue that's already down there. It starts actually smearing around and blending it out. So you don't want to do all of your work with blue first before you start laying down white. You'll notice that I just switched back to blue now. So I'm going to start going back and forth between the two colors. Now this I can keep fairly intense, but again, I'm not pressing as hard as I can. When you press too hard with colored pencils, they get kind of waxy. They get this shiny buildup, and it's hard for you to blend another color on top. Now I'm going to show you how little black I'm going to need. Barely any black as I bring up and I slowly reduce this to no black. And that's all I'm going to do, because when I start going back over it with the blue, you're going to see how much darker it becomes. So this is, again, this is an activity in being patient, blending. You'll notice I'm switching my pencil direction here. I'm varying my pressure. I'm going back and forth trying to make this happen. So I'm going to continue this a little bit, and I'm going to speed up the video just so that you can see things as they are, as they unfold. Now that we have the monochromatic color scheme finished, we're going to move on to a complementary color scheme, and I'd like you to do 2 of them. Then we'll move on to an analogous color scheme. And again, we're just sticking to the value gradients for now. We will do these rendering assignments later, and I'll record another video for that. So you'll notice I labeled mine monochromatic. Down here, I'm going to label one of them complementary 1. And complementary 2. For my complementary color schemes, I'm going to go with a violet and yellow color scheme. And then I'm going to go with a blue-orange color scheme. So I'm going to take, this time I'm going to try the sky blue with the regular orange to make those happen. Now, you can use white in these. You can use white to lighten the colors, but you cannot use black. You're using the complement color in order to darken. So let's start with a violet to blue, violet to yellow, and I'm going to do that here. And again, I'm starting very slowly, putting just a very little bit of violet down. Now, one of the things you're going to have to know is that just adding a little bit of yellow is going to darken this, and it will make it kind of muddy. So I'm going to start very soon introducing a little bit of yellow. I'm not adding yellow to the highlight, I'm actually adding yellow to the shadow. Now, it doesn't look like it's darker yet, but as soon as I go and I put violet back on top of that yellow, it's going to start getting darker and muddier as I work my way down. It almost looks like I added black. It's making that violet look almost black. So I'm going to pause this video after I get a little bit of the highlight done. Now I am going to add white up here and blend my way down. And then reverse back to the violet. And slowly blend up into that white that I created. And when I do this, you should start seeing what emerges as a gradient. Now I have to layer on top and on top, more and more and more, and slowly get this to be rich and vibrant as this one is. So I'm going to stop the video and speed it up so you can see that process.